Class. I'm going to tell you how you can start this tie project now because you should be done, if not close to being done, with your athletic apparel project, which, by the way, you'll be uploading into this folder here when you finish. And I did send an email telling you how to do that. If anyone has a problem with it, call me or text me or email me as usual. So if you look on Moodle, the tie project is right here under March 30th to April 5th week. I opened it up. There's going to be some minor changes as usual since you're working from home, and some of it which involves using our color printer when you don't, and you won't be able to do that. So some of it isn't going to work from you guys working at home. So I'm going to review the project brief here and go over how to start it. For starters, you'll just be doing sketches in your sketchbook. And then the rest of the day today, I'm going to spend making videos of the next steps of how to do things. But you'll have plenty to do as far as doing your initial design in your sketchbooks. So in the end, you're going to turn in 3 pages. The first page is a cover page, which is pretty much the way you've been doing covers. I'm going to be grading it on how well it's designed. It will be, though, a kind of a mini little mood board or inspiration board. So you'll need to collect images to put that together. But I'll have you do it in Photoshop, so until I do the demo, I wouldn't actually start that. The second page is going to be your layout page, which is going to show your finished ties, the designs that are on them. And I'm going to get you started on designing it, and then I'll go step by step through the process of how to do this. And then the final page will be the same kind of thing, letter that you wrote for the athletic apparel project. You'll be writing a letter to a buyer in a department store trying to sell them your line of ties so that they can sell them in their store. So the cover page you'll create in Photoshop. I'll go over that in the next video. The catalog style layout page you'll be creating, much like the athletic apparel layout page, you'll be creating it in Illustrator, but that's going to be the final step to the process. There'll be a lot of steps before you get that far. And then, of course, the letter to the store buyer. You can do it in Illustrator if you want to decorate it, make it look nice, or you can just type up a letter in Microsoft Word or any kind of word processing program. Forget, of course, the due dates. So originally, what I was going to have you guys do, which I usually do in this class, is to create a color palette and then print them on our color printer and try to match them as closely as possible to the swatches. Now, obviously, you don't have access to the swatches or the color printer. So what I'm going to do instead is have you try to match colors from your inspiration. So I kind of came up with an inspiration for myself. I'm going to do this project as I make the videos. I'll be doing the project myself so you can actually see the steps. So my inspiration was I actually had gotten in my email, I got from a gallery that on their mailing list, I got this image of a photograph that one of their artists did, which I thought was absolutely beautiful. Just the mood of it, and of course that traditional, the Great Wave painting, the Japanese painting. I've always liked that, and it's very dramatic and exciting. So that's sort of my inspiration. So you have to think of who your market is, who you're selling to. So I'm going to say, since this is my inspiration, that I'm going to be selling to young men. Men who appreciate art, who travel, they understand other cultures perhaps. They especially like art, like maybe comic book art, unusual, maybe tattoo art, that sort of thing. This is the feel I see here. So this is what I'm going to be designing for. And I'm going to say that I'm going to be doing a fall line. So those are my parameters of what I'm doing, and that's my basic inspiration. So the first thing you want to do is come up with a color palette. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this in Illustrator and see if I can check what some of those colors are. So I'll open Illustrator, and then I will do if I do File, Open, I can open Illustrator and create a document and place this in. Or if I just say File, Open, and then go to this image, which, let me see, it's on my computer's running a little slow today. It's on my desktop in a folder. It's called Tie Project. Once again, it's best to make a folder saying Tie Project because you have a lot of parts to this project. You want to keep them all together so you don't lose any of them. So here's my Tie Project folder, and this image is a screenshot that I took. So I will say screen open. So when I open it, what Illustrator does is creates a document and places it in, just as though I would have made the document first and placed it in. So I'm looking at this. I'm going to try to pull some of my colors from my color palette out of this photograph. Now what you might find though, like I'm looking at this, I see a beautiful dark blue, a light blue, but when I use my eyedropper tool and I'm going to, I don't need my text, I'm going to open my colors here. See, I have my CMYK slider bars. So I can see, you know, and this, you probably worked with these when you did your swatches on your athletic apparel. So if I take my eyedropper tool, which I think I explained to you before, let me see if I click on this light blue. But you see, I'm getting kind of a gray. This is kind of a trick that your brain plays on you. Like I'm seeing this as a light blue and a medium blue and a dark, rich blue. But because actually most of her back is in shadow, what I'm actually well, actually for real, what the colors are is all kinds of shades of gray. You know, bluish gray, but gray just the same. So it's not really the colors I want from my palette. I want these original rich colors. So what I did was I went online and did a Google search for the wave, Japanese art, and came up with all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to now place another one of the images. You know, sometimes, like I said, a photograph just doesn't work the way you anticipate. So I'm going to place another image in here that I found that has the same artwork and colors in. I believe this is it. Well, there's the original, but I think this is, okay, I found this one, which is some artist who did a remake of it with kind of nifty characters in it. So I'm going to place that in here. I'm going to try to pick some colors from here. Okay, so there's a nice light blue. Looking at it though, and I'm seeing that it has a little bit of yellow and magenta, so it's somewhat grayed down. I'd like these colors to be pretty vibrant, so you can manipulate them in here. Let's just say I'm going to get rid of the magenta and the yellow and just make it a nice pure blue. Maybe I'll bump it up a little bit. So that's a good blue. So that's going to be my first color. You want to pick between 4 to 6 colors. That's going to be your color palette. So let me see. I'm going to take the box drawing tool and I'm just going to give myself a swatch which will fill with that color. All right, so there's my first color. Now I want this darker blue. So first of all, I want to make sure that the box is not selected so I don't change that. Go back to my eyedropper tool. Let me get this like navy kind of blue. All right, so that's a good, rich, deep navy. I think I'm going to take some of the yellow out of it and maybe a little bit of the black out of it. Got all of this cyan, magenta. Okay, I like that. So now once again, I'll make another box. There's my second color. Doesn't really matter what shape you make. I'm making boxes because it's simple. Actually, I might want that a little bit darker, so maybe I'll throw a little more black in there. Yeah, okay, that's good. Now I want my mid-tone blue. So once again, I have to deselect my box so I don't change it. Go back to my eyedropper, and I'm going to pick this mid-tone, maybe from in here. All right, now it's pretty close to my navy, so I'm going to lighten it up a little bit, get rid of the black. Maybe I don't even need all that yellow. Maybe no yellow. I'm going to put it over here and see what it looks like next to my other blues. Yeah, I like that. So now I have 3 colors of blue. So I need at least one more color. I think I'm going to use 2 more colors. I'm going to use a red or an orange maybe, and maybe some kind of a gold color. So let me, once again, I deselected that box, take my eyedropper tool, and I'm going to go into the red. Okay, so I don't want any black in it. Maybe I don't even want much blue in it. Definitely all magenta, and maybe even bump the yellow up. Maybe not. So this is where you can kind of tinker with the colors and make them be what you think would be good for your color palette. So I have the 3 blues. Now I have a nice bright red, which could give me a pop of contrast with those, which is a good thing. Now I want something a little more neutral. So I'm going to, once again, deselect, go back to my eyedropper tool. I'm going to try this, which is, it's a nice neutrally kind of beigey gold. I might put a little bit more yellow into it, brighten it up a wee bit. Okay, let me see what that looks like in my color palette here. Yeah, I like that. So there's my color palette. I picked 5 colors. Those are the colors I'm going to work with. Now, I'm going to move this drawing, these artworks aside. So that doesn't mean you have to stick with only these colors, because you will have cases where you'll want to maybe add black or white or even another color besides what you have here. But mostly you want to stick with these colors so that the color palette feels cohesive and holds together. Doesn't mean you can't throw something else in if you need it, but these are your basic colors you're going to use most of the time. So that's the start of the project. You have your color palette, you have your inspiration. You might want to Google, let me get rid of, put this down so it's not in the way. You might want to Google and let me see, I think I did that over here. Okay, so I Googled the Great Wave Japanese art just to find some other images that might be good, and I found lots of great images. And in fact, I also found Japanese art Google search. I also found, man, my computer's slow today. I also found other images that are actually probably great ideas for patterns. I wish it would show them to you. Maybe I need to refresh my screen. So in keeping with my inspiration and the Japanese art, the wave art, there's all kinds of other Japanese art which I thought would work great for a tie pattern. I mean, you have the wave and stuff. I kind of liked this over here. I love these fish, the koi. I like the fancy patterns, line work you see in the waves there. So see, but just by Googling Japanese art or my inspiration, the Great Wave, I'm getting all kinds of other ideas I can work off of to create patterns for my ties. If you really have no idea where to begin or what a tie should look like, I know young people don't wear ties like they used to when I was a young person, which was many, many moons ago. You could also just do a search on ties and just look at some of the different kinds of patterns, and maybe you'll see something that strikes your fancy that will get springboard an idea, or maybe you already have an idea of what your inspiration is. Either way, Google, look at things. The more you see, the more it's going to give you ideas and get you going on this project. Boy, this is so slow. It's frustrating. Anyway, that'll come up in a second. So the next step after you have your inspiration is collecting images. You're going to download images from Google that kind of fit your inspiration. Put them in a folder called inspiration perhaps, but you want to have lots of images because those are what you're going to use later to create your Photoshop cover, your mood board or your inspiration board. You don't need to see my ties. Yeah, just you can Google ties yourself. So I'm not going to wait for the computer to catch up. So what I want you to do is start in your sketchbook. Drawing them by hand. Not all of the patterns that you have in your mind, visualize in your mind, are going to really work as a good pattern. So, gosh, this is slow. So I want you to get out your sketchbook, some colored pencils or markers or whatever you have on hand at home, and just start drawing up some ideas. You see, I've drawn several ideas from the images that I found in my Google search for Japanese art. Your tie pattern can be an overall pattern like this, like these stripes might be, or the cherry blossoms, or the line work that I saw from the waves that I liked. It can be an emblem or a pattern that sort of hangs to the bottom of the tie, like the wave or like this pagoda with the red sun. So there's all kinds of ways you can handle the pattern on the tie. But the first step that I want you to start with is old-fashioned in your sketchbook. Just start drawing up some ideas and throw some color on them using your color palette so that you can see how they're going to look. And then in the next video, I'll show you how to start creating your